29th, 2022, and our centre number is 68860. The chosen category is rewilding, and I'm going to hand over to the learners to introduce themselves.
Kia Llewellyn, and my date of birth is the 21st of the 7th, 1986.
I'm Oliver Colnine Curvis. My date of birth is the 2nd of the 4th, 2004.
Rewilding, restoring our relationship with nature or harming our countryside. I personally think it's a positive step in tackling climate change and restoring nature's equilibrium. But I'm also not naive to the fact that we need balance in both the economy and the ecosystem. Like in Wales, we have 2,700 homeless, and on average, the average person spends 5 years on a housing list waiting to be housed. The Welsh Government statistics show that 6,000 to 8,000 additional housing units need building annually.
I know that the stats in the Welsh Government make it a bit stressful about the homeless being obviously unhoused, but then if we're acting upon rewilding, it's the balance of how we are going to house our homeless and then rewild in the process.
At the same time,
what land do we build on? So I'm thinking of land waste sites where obviously they're man-made. So say now the coal slips, all the slurry, everything we have. Maybe we could possibly rewild in those areas, get more animals, get pushed all up in there. And obviously then they could live off the land as well, as it will be safe as they would develop, and they develop a bit quicker than us, animals do. Could we possibly then look at building houses safer, greener, more eco-friendly? I go down the Gower and go shotgun shooting, clay pigeon shotgun shooting, and we shoot with sheep obviously right there, and because we're there almost every summer, they are there and they know the sound of the shotguns, they know that they could eat the clays and they'd be fine. So
and it doesn't worry them at all.
So
wow.
If we could possibly do something like that and build upon that, then it would be great.
That would be fab. I mean, Kilvey Hill used to be toxic, barren, consumed by smoke. It was a slag heap for the copper works. And now, I mean, you've only got to look at it now. It's a luscious green blanket of heather, evergreen, and deciduous trees. And they've got a group. They've got a group, Friends of Kilvey Hill, and they're in the middle of their new initiative of rewilding the area and thinning out some of the more invasive species and invasive trees to encourage some of the more native pines. So they've got a group going on coming up in December where they cut down some of the more invasive pine trees and Christmas trees, and they're giving them away as Christmas trees. It's sort of a bring your axe and come along. So according to the Natural Resources for Wales, 80% of Wales is farmland, 15% is woodland, and only 5% is actually built environment, which is, to me, that's quite shocking.
That is shocking.
I would have expected built environment to be a bit bigger. But are there more economic ways that we can use the farmland so that we make the most and almost give it like a dual purpose? Things like using trees as livestock borders. So instead of using cutting down trees to make fences, we can have living, growing fences to keep livestock
at our disposal.
Yeah, completely. And use what falls off them as well. I mean, trees need felling, they need maintaining and things. You can use those in, for biofuel and all other things. Things like vertical growing and companion planting. And even things like combining a caged orchard with poultry farming. So I keep chickens and they're quite disastrous in the garden, but under trees, they can't cause that much damage, and they're great for fertilising the soil as well. So it's a good use of a good use of of resource.
So in 2050,
Yeah.
the government decided to try and go net zero
Yeah.
with all fuels being used.
Yeah.
Like you said about the Welsh government have set their own plan.
Yeah.
Westminster has tried to make sure that no petrol, diesel, any fuel waste would go into the atmosphere anymore.
Yeah.
Obviously, they can't just stop everyone driving around their petrol, diesel cars. So they've decided that 2015 is the overall goal where manufacturers need to stop having petrol or diesel and go to a more electric kind of base. And now it doesn't really help now because we're in an economic crisis with electric fuel.
But what exactly does that mean? Because even though the government says, oh yeah, we're going to go net zero by 2050, you can't physically do that. You can't physically. So what they're talking about is rewording fancifully how they're going to offset the damage that they're doing to the environment. Still do it, but offsetting. So they're just going to pass the buck of you'll have to pay to.
It's just another source
of income. You'll have a higher tax, or you'll have there will be something. We live in a hugely capitalist society.
Yes.
And the exploitation of both resource and labour is encouraged to make maximum profits. We're all spoon-fed consumerism from a really young age, and we all could do with adopting a more socialist and communist approach
100%.
to rewild it to everything across the board. We don't need as much as what we have. But it doesn't make money, does it?
We just need to look at the previous government and our ancestors and how they have kept us warm in winters, how they helped us survive through how we are going with the atmosphere now. We're not going to be able to have virtually anything.
But
with
again,
petrol or
that
diesel.
won't make the big companies money.
So why would they do it?
So it's not in their it's not their prerogative to help fund that sort of thing. Say farmers are hugely responsible for species decline. Things like, do you remember mad cow's disease?
Yes.
Well, not only did you have a mass slaughter of cows, but I don't know if you remember it. They went around, they thought the badgers were transmitting the disease. So they went around and they had dogs out hunting them. And, so there was a huge cull of badgers. They shoot foxes on sight to protect their livestock. They use pesticides. I will have to read this one. They use neonicotinoids, which was banned at one point, but they've now reinstated it.
To make money.
To make money, yeah. And it's supposed to be to kill aphids, but it actually kills bees. It kills the ladybirds that would eat the aphids. So there are huge devastating effects to our food chain already. And these are all sanctioned by the government. They're all of them.
Like I said before, the government isn't obviously wanting to do anything. That's not in their prerogative to make money.
Yeah.
They just want to keep the money going. Obviously, they're just hungry for greed. In 2021, a choir that was on Britain's Got Talent, youth choir, actually marched to Buckingham Palace, demanding that the Queen, the late Queen, and now the King change the way that they do it and how they make money. They've got this vast estate where they have loads of green areas. What if they change the way that they do things, have some rewilding there? Maybe if they could possibly just up the coverage, which now Buckingham Palace has announced that they're going to, by 2030, stop all harming to the environment as much as they can, and maybe up the coverage of trees from 6% to 20%. So that's a 14% up on having more trees that will have more jobs, and then in the estates more money going into the economy. So it all links through. When someone that owns a big estate owns land, they help.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think rewilding is good for everybody. It's good for your mental health. It's good for when you're doing it, you're in it, and when you're doing it, you invest in it. It helps our understanding and how we have cause and effects of the things that we do. The downside to rewilding is if you have things like long grass where the initiatives are to leave the grass grow and to have meadow flowers going through it, you'll have a lot more snakes, which means you'll have a lot more snake bites. You'll have so put more pressure on the NHS that's already stressed. If there are more introduction of apex predators, wild boar, wolves and bears, can we say that they will stay in the rural areas, or will they migrate to scavenge from inner city bins? So you're going to have more incidents of wild animals roaming around cities.
Where are we going to get the animals from then? Because it all makes, if we take them from their homeland, they're going to try and instinctively try and go back to that homeland by making them get out to the wilding area.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm struggling to make a conclusion as to whether or not, I do believe that it's good, and I do believe it is the right step, but everything has to be in moderation and everything has to be a balance. So the positives about absorbing water, reducing flooding, more habitats, the trees are the lungs of our earth, and will make us more socially conscious. But on the other side of things, it will also alter the ecological food chain, and we don't know what effect that will have
on us.
What do you think?
I think that obviously rewilding, we need to do it because we can't keep going on the way we are with our atmosphere and everything going on. It's going to get harder for people to live. So I think we need to take a step back, have a look, cut down. Obviously what the government is doing now by 2050, zero fuel. Hopefully that will calm down the atmosphere, but then we just need to look at the overall picture of what are we doing? Is there any way that we could slowly stop this and do it small little bits? So it's a very, there's pros and cons for everything in this situation.
I completely agree.
So we need to have a look at what we can do.